How much have you missed this?
Like I said, things change. And there are friendly faces in the crowd, and you guys have always been friendly faces, and that's neat. It's always good to get back to Indianapolis. And yeah, we spend a lot of you don't realize until after you play the game how much time you spend with reporters.
Especially the quarterback.
Especially the quarterback. We see each other a lot. I probably talk to you guys more than I talk to my wife during some seasons. So,
how often have you been back?
Pretty regularly, honestly. Yeah, like I landed last night. And my sister-in-law and brother-in-law live here. He's finishing up residency at St. V's, and we were here for Christmas. This year last. Our daughters were born here. Whenever we fly anywhere, when we travel, my daughter, first thing is like Indianapolis. Is that where we're going? So,
and you look at the map, see if it works.
Yes, somehow it works. Maps, she hasn't quite got maps yet.
Andrew, when Chuck reached out to you with the invitation, why did you make this a priority to return and be a part of?
Yeah, one, Chuck has we have a great relationship. He was a massive influence on my life in a positive way. When I do think about my rookie year here and T.Y.'s rookie year and our rookie years here and Chuck's rookie year as a head coach and what he went through, I think I've said this before. While I was in it, I certainly don't think I understood the gravity of the situation. And it's certainly with time a way that you realize, whoa, how special that year was in many ways. Most importantly, that Chuck made it back. And I think while playing that year, while it is cliche, I do think you have tunnel vision. You sort of have to step on a field and go play quarterback, go do whatever. And again, with time, the blinders certainly widen and you have a different perspective. And just to see how his legacy in this way continues in the city and Simon Cancer Center and IU and what he's done. And I remember being at the first one, when we were all much younger and had much worse facial hair. So it's fun to support, fun to give back, just like Chuck's, giving back to this community.
You've been back a number of different times, not in so much of a forward-facing capacity, but to be back, you see your teammates, Ryan Kelly, Adam Vinatieri, Jack Doyle, Chuck, of course. What emotion does this evoke for you?
Yeah, it's great, and forward facing. I guess I come back and I text those guys and we hang out when we can anyway. I think the relationships very much endure, no matter where we go. And I know I feel very fortunate to have been in the locker room here in Indy for those years that there were guys that we had relationships with and have continued. And I do think that is incredibly important. And it's great. I get excited coming back to this building. I get excited seeing Colts stuff in the horseshoe. And seeing familiar faces, and you walk in and familiar turns. I mean, there's still a turn in that feels real. Like that's what we did for so many years. This time I just went and parked over by Chris's office to try and catch him and sit on this side. But so it's always fun to come back here.
When you were playing, I wouldn't have envisioned you coaching. I think you probably would have said the same thing back when you were playing. What led to that change, and how's it gone?
Yeah, and I think probably lowercase coaching, not like capital C coaching. I volunteered two days a week at Palo Alto High School this year and made as many games as I could. And we've had some off-season meetings and stuff. And I think really at the heart of it, Zach, is I think part of me realized at some point in my life that I needed to reintegrate football in a way enough because I loved the game still and I enjoyed it and I wanted.
When did you figure that out?
Oh, a couple years after retiring. I'm not sure there was an epiphany. But I certainly knew I wanted to go back, and when going back to grad school, I wanted to have a different academic experience, but I realized I think I knew enough that I was interested in sports and high school sports to know that education felt like a master's in education felt relevant to that, and I just had fun coaching high school football. Football gave me a lot. Most importantly, again, the relationships and the experiences with people that I loved, like Chuck. I think part of me feels, and I don't mean this in a cheesy way, but part of me feels like, it's my turn to give back into this game, and this is what feels right at this moment for us and works with family and life and me, et cetera. Yeah. You had a follow-up question in the middle of it, but
I think you answered.
I cut you off.
Not the first time.
And you appreciate you're part of the fabric of this sports town forever. Yeah. You go into Zaxby's or Buffalo Wild Wings, there's your jerseys and pictures. I have bad eating habits. You appreciate that.
Tasting food.
Thank you.
Well, yeah, that's how I'm 5'8". You realize that you are a part, and you're something you don't take for granted. That I wouldn't imagine. Do you appreciate the love that you still have from so many fans that appreciate the memories you gave them?
Absolutely, I do. I feel, you mentioned I am a part of the fabric of the sports story in this city. I certainly feel like Indianapolis is a massive part of the fabric of who I am, and where life has gone, and the highs and the lows and everything in between. It feels very real. And so, yeah, I certainly feel the love in a sense from the city, and I hope people know it's reciprocal. We love this place.
Andrew, when you think back on memories here, how much do you think about the end of it? Is that like a memory that comes to mind, or is it more the good?
Yeah, more when it's prompted by direct questions about it. I mean, I'll be, part of me, when Chuck texted and I can make it back and we talked on the phone, and so yeah, I loved it. I was like, I got to go on YouTube and look up old highlights of 2012. Like, that was a long time ago, and so that was a great conduit to thinking about different memories and again how funny. I got to come to a place that had really good football for a long time, and what Peyton and the crew, the bar they set was amazing. I certainly wanted to continue it. I was just talking to Adam back there. It's like I walked in to a locker room with Adam Vinatieri, Reggie Wayne, Dwight Freeney, Robert Mathis as the 4 leaders. I mean, that's a dream. I love football growing up. I watched those guys. I always tell Adam, I was a 7-year-old and went to Amsterdam and watched them kick field goals for the NFL Europe in the old Olympic Stadium. And I watched in middle school. I watched Adam kicking field goals in the Super Bowl in Houston, Texas. So a lot of good memories. And again, they generally come up when I'm on the phone with T.Y. or talking to Anthony or get to hang out with Jack Doyle. Jack and I were hanging out earlier today. And after coaching a year of high school football, I realized I really don't know how to teach blocking or tackling or or anything that is like involves some physicality games. So Jack, can you come over and teach me how to block? So we had a good blocking session. I'm thinking about that, stewing over it right now.
You stayed low, like you laid low for a long time.
Yeah.
And you haven't done this kind of thing at all. Did it take a while to get to this place where you were to be ready for this?
Yeah, I think that I'm not going to endorse that statement fully. It sounds a little too dramatic to me. I mean, I do think we live in I think about this often, where we live in a world where it's very easy to create your own visibility in a sense,
yeah.
and that's just never been me. I don't think that's my personality. So, and I'm okay with that, and I certainly am not searching, for attention in that way. And I also know, like when coming back, I'm happy to do this. I'm happy to talk to you. This is part of what sort of life as a former quarterback in this city is, and for that, that's great.
Andrew,
do you watch football differently now, or are you a Sunday guy? Every Sunday I got to be around some football. Saturday I got to watch some football, or do you?
Oh, I love watching football. It's hard to sit down in front of a TV for 3.5 hours and watch games straight when you got a 4-year-old and a 20-month-old. I don't know how you guys do it out there, but I love it. And we live really close to Stanford's campus, and going back to live games and college games and coaching some high school games. And I made it down to a half of a Niners game this past year. It's fun. It's a great game. I certainly do watch it differently. Part of me watches again like a fan, like a middle school or high school boy who's watching Christian McCaffrey or Jonathan Taylor. Like, I'm a fan, and you get to watch that and hoot and holler, and yeah, it's a great game.
I imagine you miss some things of playing.
Yeah, absolutely.
I'm not going to ask the other question, but like, you put so much of it into it for so long. There has to be parts of you that are like, I love doing that.
Oh yeah, and I think the way it sits is, I feel very grateful to have done that. To go play with your buddies in front of thousands of people and like in big pressure moments, you don't get that. That's a treat. And we worked very hard, individually, collectively, college, high school. That's a treat. And so, yeah, there are parts of it you miss. You don't get to repeat that in life. And the way it sits to me, at least today, is like thankful it happened.
But because of all what you said over these last 5 or 6 years, ever that itch to, I'm healthy, I could do this again. Or I could do it,
No, I think when I retired, that part of it was put to bed in my mind in a very simple sort of direct. There was a lot of complications around it. It certainly tormented inside. And as you guys saw, that night. But I think that part of it has stayed in a simply
it seemed like that's
way.
what the case was when you were talking that night. Is you were done with football. there were reasons for it, but you were sort of done with football because of all that.
Yeah, absolutely. That's the case. And again, I think to go back to Zach's previous question, I certainly realized I still love this game, and I want to have it integrated in my life. It's got to be different, you know.
Guys played to their 40.
I played with guys who played to their 40. All right, I have a lot more respect for Matt Hasselbeck. Not that I didn't respect Matt before.
What's it been like to, I guess, find gratitude or meaning in just the second act or the second thing you want to do? A lot of guys might struggle with that if you're an athlete.
Yeah, no, I do think a lot of us struggle with it more than you'd think, and I really do appreciate those who have spoken up about it. I think that certainly it's an era in which we are speaking up about things and having conversations, which is great. And yeah, like I would sit there and joke to myself. I can't remember how old I was, 29 or 30 or right around that. Like I can't be retired at age 30. Like that ain't right. Like, I was, you know, and I was a stay-at-home dad for a while, full time.
Weird.
It was odd. I mean, you know,
You're here every day for 15 hours a day.
No, and
like,
this game gives you, again, as cheesy as it is, it gives you purpose. It gives you structure. You're on a team. I think you find some, you know, it scratches some deep itches of relationship and community and purpose and hard work and gratifying. But yeah, it was second act, third act, fourth act. I know certainly I hope I continue to evolve and find ways, you know, to get the most out of life and to give back into this thing. And certainly having young daughters is, you know, the biggest driver of how life looks in a family. But yeah, we got along. You know, we retired too early, and we certainly, you know, we can't be retired. Yeah, quotation.
Have you met Anthony Richardson, and what kind of advice would you give a kid who's in the spot you were in at one point?
Yeah, no, I have not met Anthony in person. We have texted and stuff, and just paths haven't been able to cross. Like this weekend, it's just he's not here, and I you know, it's just the way it is. And I know we'll get to meet at some point. And I do hesitate with advice, and he's certainly not a kid. I mean, that guy's out there playing quarterback in the NFL, and that's hard. It's really hard, and I think he has the approach. I think he's got the support system to be a real success in this league, and a real dynamic player that Colts fans can be proud of, and fans around the country be proud of. So I'm excited to watch, you know, where this thing goes and see how it is.
Andrew, what do you think is next?
Oh. Hello, Greg.
My voice. Good to see you.
Yeah.
What do you think your next act that's going to be more enduring than being a part-time coach? What do you think that next act is?
Yeah, you know, I don't know. And I think when I start planning too far down the road, I think of, I'm going to play football till I'm 45. Like Tom Brady, you know? And I realize that I think, so staying in the present, I think what works right now, and I think of seasons of life, so maybe to answer, you know, I feel like we are in a season of life with young kids and trying to figure it out, and like, you know, Nicole's a producer and traveling and gymnastics meets are going on, and, you know, so the world does not revolve around me, and the reality of when you play quarterback is it sort of does, you know, and that is a good thing for me right now and for our family. And so I think in this season of life, we are happy where we are and what we're doing, and I'm fulfilled, and we'll see. I don't think I'm getting too far away from the game of football, though, in sports. And I really firmly, deeply believe that sports, the extracurriculars, theaters, the arts have much more of an important role in the fabric of our society and growing up than we probably give them credit for. And then, you know, let's make sure we support and promote and highlight positive aspects of those things.
Andrew, you
Last one here.
You came here as a very young man. You came here as a very young man. Lots of ups and downs. But when you think back, what are you most proud of?
Yeah, that's a great. I'm very proud of the relationships I made. I think I've, including as I've gotten older, just thankful for the friendships, both within, especially within the locker room, and outside in this city. And I know we were not perfect. I know I was not perfect. All of us wish we'd had multiple Super Bowls and done things and sort of vanquished some of those enemies that we didn't quite ever get to. But I could probably speak for all the other guys, and I know I could speak for myself that, again, it wasn't perfect, but we tried our best. We tried our hardest, and I hope we gave folks something to cheer about and something to be proud of, and I do get the sense that we were. And yeah, again, it's always happened to be in there. There was one more question. I'm going to see. Is that all right?
And the thing you miss most about Indy?
Oh, the thing I miss most, the month of May. There's nothing like the month of May in Indianapolis. And that's not like just a political line. That's real. Like this place is dope in May. The weather changes. I'll tell you back. Coming on April, it's like, is it going to be sunny? Is it warm? Is it cold? Is it raining? What's it going to be? It's like you don't like the weather. Wait 15 minutes. It's going to change. I forget about that from Indiana. I love the month of May. I mean, we still have our 500 tickets and the Brickyard tickets and the Grand Prix. We're not going to make it this year. It's a busy year. It's an Olympic year in Nicole's tour. So there's a lot going on. But we won't. We still hold on to our tickets. Allison Millington over at the Speedway has been very close to our family, and I think that, I'm out there promoting the Indy 500 for anybody who hasn't been to Indianapolis, and come to this city. If you doubt it, come in that month, have a good time. I've been to a lot of sporting events. I had the privilege to grow up going to a lot of the sporting events. As I've gotten older, I've played in some. I've gotten to go to other big ones. There's nothing that compares to the lead up and the start of the Indy 500.
Does your oldest know you played football?
Yeah, she knows.
You talk about it?
Yeah, I mean, I talk about it. We go to a lot of Stanford games, and we go to Stanford practice.
Probably like the Stanford Hall of Fame.
And I am a little proud, when the little one, or 20-month-old Penelope, when she sees anybody in a football helmet, she says, "Dada." I'm like, yeah, you're right. I did. There's worse things to be associated with. It is, and it's a treat, and it's all good. Well, I appreciate it, guys.
Thanks, everyone.
No, they're too young to understand that. No, I don't think so. But I shouldn't speak for them. I'll ask my daughter in like 20 years what that was like. Anything else?
All right.